Tensions in Italy today deflected from the championship and towards the fight for places in next season's UEFA Cup. Inter and Parma, who meet here at San Siro, are both central figures in that battle. Inter have been an enigma this season, despite the experience of players like Walter Zenga, Giuseppe Bergami, who's back today, Andy Bremer. Sergio Battistini is also brought back, with two members of Italy's current squad, Dino Baggio and Nicola Berti, both injured. Other problems, well, Jurgen Klinsmann has scored only 6 league goals. Lothar Matthäus is not happy with the running of the club, which on the field has been in the charge of Luis Suarez since January. Parma don't have the resources of Inter. Claudio Taffarel from Brazil, one of their 3 foreigners. Their sweeper Minotti is available again today. Georges Grun from Belgium, versatile in midfield. The top scorer, Alessandro Melli, has been missing recently with flu, though today he is a substitute, which puts extra attacking responsibility on the gifted young Swedish international, Thomas Brolin. '39-year-old Marcello Nicchi is today's referee. Parma have proved that they're not simply one-season wonders. 6 last year in their first attempt in the first division, 6th again now. Today against an Inter side that is so hard to fathom out, really. Defensively, they've been very difficult to break down, but they've been far from efficient in front of the opposing goal. Parma producing a problem in the opening seconds here. The whistle had gone and the ball had gone out of play, but Walter Zenga has been up to his usual standards, and they're pretty lofty ones, but there has been a shortfall really for such an experienced team. But currently we find these two sides with Inter in the better state of health. They've gone 7 games unbeaten. Parma without a win in their last 5 in the league. It's not a big crowd. Part of that is just an air of disenchantment amongst the hardcore of the Inter support with the way things have gone. But also it's a very pleasant spring-like afternoon as well. There are other distractions. Di Chiara for Parma. Quoggi, who used to play here for Inter's great rivals Milan. Bianchi pressed all the way by Di Chiara. The two sides separated by just 1 place, just 1 point. Luis Suarez, whose management, of course, has been most recently with the Spanish national team, in charge of them in the World Cup, in the finals in Italy. Ciocci. Matthäus looking questioningly at the referee. Di Chiara got on with the game. Ferry comes across, and Bianchi got back to make the interception. That's a fine ball by Bremer. Taffarel hesitated. Ciocci got to it, and there you saw the concern that goalkeepers have these days. Obviously, the risk of conceding a penalty is big enough, but now with the major threat of being red-carded, as Taffarel has been already once this season, and he had to let Ciocci win that race, but in the end, Ciocci, taking the ball wide of Taffarel, took it out of play. Zarato with the free kick. Now Klinsmann. 2 goals last week at Ascoli. Will have cheered him up a bit. But only 6 so far. It's a very disappointing tally. Inter did win that match at Ascoli, the bottom club, by 2 goals to 1, but it could have gone the other way. Zenga saved a penalty at a crucial stage. Advantage played by the referee. I wonder whether he'll take firmer action now that he can stop the game. He has done. That's good refereeing. Ferry's foul was unnecessarily crude. But Parma still had the ball and were manipulating it into a shooting position, so they were entitled to be allowed to continue to do that. And once the shot had passed harmlessly wide, then referee Nicky handed out his punishment. Checking the damage. Once he heard the whistle, he was prepared to get on with the job, knowing that he got the free kick. Mateus. Now Bianchi, Orlando are trying to fill out the triangle then. Mateus is 31 now. Down he goes again. Now what can Inter come up with at this free kick, which Mateus takes himself? It's aimed towards Ferry, who made contact. Inter had brought a lot of players forward, and Parma can't push out quick enough really to catch them turning. Bianchi has got to think about defending. It's the point we're making about Di Chiara, who's definitely an attacking weapon on that side of the pitch for Parma. And Bianchi finding out that just getting back alongside Di Chiara wasn't enough. He, in the end, had to trip him. 17 minutes to go to half-time. Ozio's free kick. Quaggy with a backhander off the bar. Zenga just watched and saw it drop onto the frame of the goal. And it's Klinsmann who clears. Ciocci. Well, are Inter going to be inspired here by a scare at their own end? Bremer. And it's behind a trio of potential attackers. Brolin striving to keep it in. And wasn't really able to do that without showing too much of it. But it was the free kick that Quaggy just helped on. So nearly put Parma in front. Ozio on the ball here, he took it. Benarivo. Even with the high caliber players, confidence is of such importance, and you do feel here that don't have it in abundance. Quaggy. Brolin. The header away by Bergami. Ferry at the back of Brolin this time. And Parma. Very purposeful now. Certainly not scared of operating on this stage. Penarivo will want to blame the pitch. Well, the strapping is being applied around the knee. With 15 minutes to go to half-time. There's more worry for Inter at the moment. And Roma particularly concerned about the state of his fellow countrymen. As Beppe Baresi limbering up. Would claim that he's been perhaps singled out for attention. Really, there hasn't been a bad foul by Parma. There's been a bad foul in the game, except the one by Ferri on Agostini, for which he was properly booked. Ozio. There's potential here for Parma. They've recognised it. At the moment, still penned back on the edge of their own area. Beppe Baresi, 34 years old, the elder brother of Franco. He made his debut for Inter back in 1977. And he's still a useful man to have around. Ozio for Agostini, across comes Bergami. Ozio. Well, Agostini had stayed down, and I suppose technically was in an offside position. Well, the game officially ends for Mateus after 32 minutes. Attention's turned now to Bergami. Oh, it's clearly the right knee. And in that instant, the disappointment of Inter's season is really summed up. And I think, given Baresi's strengths as a defender, it may well be that Orlando is asked to move forward a little more. So Parma, who've already put the ball onto Zenga's crossbar. Taking on an Inter team deprived of its great German influence in midfield. Ciocci. Desideri couldn't do too much with it. Chasing up here is Agostini for Parma. At his back is Bergami. Lima wanting to intervene as well, but Agostini gets the ball across, a little flick from Brolin. And that's one reason perhaps why Parma don't get as many goals as they would wish. They've got to commit more players into attacking positions when there's such promise as there was then. Ciocci fouled by Apolloni. But Brolin was quite entitled as he backheaded then to expect a teammate, and Ozio, who was way off the pace really, will be questioned perhaps at half-time as to why he hadn't committed himself. Had he done so, there would have been a great chance for him. Brolin. Benarivo. Oh, and it came off the head of Battistini. Zenga on his way out. That could have ended in catastrophe. Battistini felt he had to go for it. Presumably he didn't get a call, and that may well be what he was saying at the end. Battistini. Bianchi, who's played twice for Italy this season, his first two selections. His work right on the right-hand side. Here he is. Oh, and Bremer! It looked the perfect situation for Bremer's considerable shooting talents. But again, it sums up Milan's season. That he didn't really hit it at all, did he? Certainly not true, certainly not hard. And Taffarel, who was anticipating, I'm sure, having to strive to keep the ball out, but in the end just let it watch harmlessly, the ball pass harmlessly wide. Brolin. Stopped by Battistini's interception. Benarivo, now Zorato. Bergami. Now Bremer. The feet were raised by both players then. And Bremer, who got the ball, has now committed an extravagant gesture of dissent. Whatever the outcome, what's he going to do here? He's going to book Bremer, and he can't complain about that. Whatever the value of the decision, if you don't accept it, well, you must then accept the consequences. Bremer, the player foul now. Klinsmann is down. What happened there? In the furore after the initial clash, it's all about the Germans at the moment. Mateus off injured. Bremer booked. Now Luis Suarez being addressed there. Let's just keep an eye on Klinsmann. What does he do? Well, there's something thrown from the crowd. That's all you can think, and it's a long way for an object to be thrown. Well, there's clearly no Parma player anywhere near him. But Klinsmann just collapsed. Motti, the captain of Parma, was talking to Luis Suarez. Let's see it again. It's going to be a free kick to Parma. Bremer had been booked. Klinsmann looked, flinched, fell. And he was clearly struck. There's no fooling in that. So a major incident here in Milan. 5 minutes to go before half-time. Free kick to Parma. The disgust in the crowd, followed by that one act of disgusting behaviour, was presumably in reaction to the referee giving the free kick against Bremer. That's an explanation, and is certainly not offered as an excuse. Klinsmann now with the padding to prevent the bleeding and the hairnet to hold the padding in place. Ferry. Whistle blown a little prematurely then, but the free kick taken from the wrong place. The referee trying to be a bit more sympathetic to Inter. Lazio, that's a weak ball in the circumstances. Feelings running high here. And ball by Zerato. Orlando from Barese's quick free kick. Benarivo. Balls for Bremer. Now Desideri. It's a good try. The ball certainly swerved. Stefano Desideri, a midfield player with a good touch around goal and a willingness to shoot. Grun. But there are only, we believe, around 300 or 400 Parma fans here. And you have to believe that the odds are very much against one of them throwing an object, the object that cut Klinsmann. So you do feel that an aggrieved Inter fan has done damage to one of his own favourites, which just compounds the whole stupidity of it all. Brolin. In the battle of the number fours with Orlando. Certainly the Klinsmann affair has added a sour note to what began as a most entertaining contest, and for the most part has continued in that vein despite the departure of Mateus. Bremer, who has been booked, and there's no attempt there to get Bremer into further trouble, a point that might be noted by Lothar Matthäus. Grun got to it, Brolin. Here comes George Grun again. Still Grun. Oh, terrific play from him. Zenga stopped it with his legs. It would have been a splendid goal. A cross from Ozio, and Zenga this time. Bread and butter job, but he did it well against Grun. But it was their previous contest that was crucial to keeping it at 0-0. George Grun, wrong-footed Inter, got the ball back onto his right foot, made space for the shot, but he hit it too close to Zenga. Well, given the respective records of these two sides, despite their high placings in the table, it's no surprise, perhaps, that it's goalless at half-time, but that really doesn't tell the true story. Parma have played with a fair degree of poise and hit the bar with Quoggi's back header. A great effort by George Grun as well. But there's been a sensational twist of events with the departure of Mateus injured, and Klinsmann struck by an object thrown, one can only suspect, from one of his own supporters. At half-time at San Siro, a mixture of moods. It's Inter 0, Parma 0. Parma have brought on Alessandro Melli, wearing number 16, to try and pep up their attack in the second half. Certainly plenty of praise for the way they've constructed their football through midfield. Inter, remember, unbeaten at home, but they've only won 4 of 13 league games. 9 home draws. Well, if they'd picked up, say, 4 or 5 extra goals to turn half of those into victories, season would be so much more palatable. As it is, they're not just taking on the problems caused by Parma here to them, but also a fair measure of discontent amongst their supporters. Supporters that one assumes are going to be punished in one way or another for the Klinsmann episode just before half-time. Under Luis Suarez, Inter are playing their 12th match in the league. They've lost only one of them, but they've won only 3. The draws haven't delighted the supporters, who are beginning to feel now that they might be witnessing another one. There's still time for that to change. Bianchi. Here's Pepe Baresi. Baresi did well to get the ball forward to Bianchi, who's gone across to try his luck on the left. Danger of getting into Bremer's way over there, but it's handball by Bergami. Certain referees would have produced the yellow card for that. This isn't one of them. A cynical attempt by Bergami just to stop Parma getting the ball forward quickly. Bianchi, Parma with plenty of players behind the ball. Ferri. Inter moving forward patiently and precisely as well. Klinsmann was one pass away from carving out a chance in a classic way. Fausto Pizzi is the number 15 for Inter. Well known by Parma. He played for them in the 89-90 season, in which they got out of the second division, scored 12 goals in 37 appearances. But for Inter, bought him from Parma, he's been mostly consigned to the role of replacement. Came on to good effect against Ascoli last week, and perhaps that's earned him another chance here. Certainly Inter could do with a fresh injection up front, at least in an attacking sense from midfield. But what perhaps the fans don't want to see is Pizzi coming on for Klinsmann. Obviously, Luis Suarez feels that the handicap that Klinsmann has been labouring under is too great, but it is restricting him. And off he goes, so Mateus gone, Klinsmann gone. 20 minutes of the second half gone. Baresi. Who flies the German flag alone now. Desideri. It's a good play by Grun. I don't want to hit you too hard with the sorrowful statistics about these teams' lack of scoring. Parma coming up now to 5 away games in sequence, in which the only goal that they've scored was an own goal, an extraordinary one by the Argentinian striker Desotti, who plays for Cremonese. He was back defending at a corner and the ball bounced in off him. That's all that they've managed outside Parma in recent times. Roma. Foggy. Parma haven't had such control in midfield in the second half. Inter have been striving to change the shape of the game without succeeding. In finding a goal that would raise the spirits of their long-suffering supporters. Orlando. Here's Pizzi, who is left-footed. Orlando again. Shochi. Nice touch. Ferri. opportunity on the break here. Di Chiara. Just look how quickly Inter have got players behind the ball. Quoggi. Not allowed Melli to turn. It's hit. Easy for Zenga. His save from Georges Gruen just before half-time was an important moment in the match. Earlier, been able to do nothing but scrutinise where Quoggi's header. Well, here's a chance now for Ciocci. And tried to turn inside Apolloni, who won't concede the corner willingly and might not concede it at all. That took Parma by surprise. And Massimo Ciocci just can't end this run without a goal, which stretches back to the opening day of the season. He scored then against Foggia. 1-1 draw here. Halfway through the second half, and it was an opportunity for Inter that there haven't been too many of them. Parma are going to make their second change. Catanese comes on for Ozio. Catanese is a Sicilian from Palermo. Ozio, whose touch play from midfield hasn't really been a major influence on the match. He did take that free kick that Quoggi flicked onto the bar. So we now have the full complement of substitutes used. The game can settle down again. Came off Quoggi's head, Benarivo. Livio Scala, the Parma coach, nearest the camera, is here. There was a story that because of a bad back he might have to miss this game. Zorato. Catanese. Now Quoggi. Di Chiara this time settles for the little side foot pass. Out came Bergami. Di Chiara again. Rationing the runs at the moment. Quoggi. Keeping the ball is all well and good. Maybe Parma will able to do more with it now. We feel it will be given away. Bremer has it back for Inter, and it's their turn. A bit more pace wouldn't come amiss. There's been plenty of patience. Bianchi forced into the error by Di Chiara, and made up for it by intervening. So played against him rather by Catanese. Here's Ciocci. Bremer. Oh, Taffarel's got to watch it and hang on. Pizzi was there, ready to pounce. But the Brazilian goalkeeper, who comes from the deep south of that vast footballing country, with ancestors from Germany. It's the flaxen locks and the European look that he has. Hasn't helped Inter or their supporters, of course, that the side that shares this stadium has been supreme this season. Comparisons have been odious from Inter's point of view. Pizzi. too much on the ball. Melli, it was a mistake by Ferri. Alessandro Melli for Parma. Benarivo was trying to make up the ground to help Melli, who had got the better of Ferri. And it's disapproval again echoing around from the Inter supporters at what they're seeing. You might argue that Matthias is being quite right to shout his mouth off in the Italian press about what's gone wrong with Inter. One of Matthias's concerns is if a fourth foreigner is allowed in Inter in Italy next season, which is certainly more a probability than a possibility. Maybe only 3 will be allowed to play. Inter have lined up another German from East Germany, Sammer. Matthias a bit fearful of his place in the side, perhaps. Anyway, Bremer has a place on the pitch at the moment. His free kick. Bianchi. Well, he hasn't scored at all this season. Players won't get goals if they're not willing to run into the opposing penalty area. That's where the majority has scored. It's a simple truth of football. Cremonese. It's a hard life being an out-and-out attacker in teams that play this way. Melli has only had to do 45 minutes duty here because he has been ill recently. Forwards need midfield players to move ahead of them and move the markers around. At the moment, a pack of midfield players just sitting in the centre of the pitch, more concerned about keeping things right at their own end than creating a winner at the other. And the time is passing by slowly. A minute to go. That's a push, an unnecessary one by Quaggi on Orlando. Maybe the players aren't enjoying it too much either. Taffarel called into action by Pizzi, swinging his left foot at the ball and driving it across. The chance of catching Parma by surprise. Here's Pizzi again. Another attempt to cross early, but not at all an effective one. Benarivo, down goes Melli. Parma still have the ball. It was clearly a block on him. Melli being told by the referee there that I think the advantage had been played. Oh, Agostini! Can Parma, in the closing seconds, fashion a chance here? Catanese. But again, you saw just how few players were willing to run into that area of the pitch. Well, there was the moment when Ciocci got away and checked back onto his left foot when he might have shot with his right. There's a good chance for Inter in the second half. Parma have made next to nothing. And opted simply for consolidating on the polish of their first half play. But both teams have for a long time in this game begun to realise that 1 point against rivals for European qualification is worth settling for. There was some fine football in the opening 20 minutes, but I have to say the second half of this match really is best forgotten, and perhaps it produced the type of stalemate that we feared would be the norm over the entire 90 minutes. We're grateful for what happened at the outset. The afternoon soured by the Klinsmann episode, but the game less than memorable. Inter 0, Parma 0. Cremonese hardly seem capable of coping with the might of Milan, but there are few formalities in football. Frank Rijkaard, though, doing his best to make the match go to form. It was Rijkaard then who teed the ball up for Massaro, Rampula covering the shot. Massaro angled this effort towards the corner. Rampula reacted well, Rijkaard falling and failing as he followed up. But Massaro's persistence paid off when another attempt hit Bonomi and trickled over the line for an own goal, 1-0 to Milan, 3 minutes before half-time. Cremonese came back strongly after that. Gian De Biaggi unlucky with a splendid strike. And that was bettered with 15 minutes to go. Agostino Jacobelli, a 28-year-old midfield player, his first goal at this level, and a fabulous one. Milan dropping a point when they were expected to cruise past Cremonese. Motivation might have been a problem for Juventus against the bottom club, with most of their hopes of catching Milan dashed. But Ascoli stung them into action with this flowing move, which ended in sheer frustration for Belgium's Patrick Verwoerd. Roberto Baggio began to take up the challenge for Juventus. His precise pass should have seen Salvatore Schillaci put Juventus in front, Laurieri with a fine stop nonetheless. After that, Baggio decided to take his own route to goal, but the odds were against him, even though his angle shot was accurate enough. The breakthrough came 8 minutes into the second half. Here's Luigi De Agostini forcing a handball from Di Rocca. For penalties, under pressure, Baggio is hard to beat. Laurieri couldn't find the answer. He did, however, serve his side splendidly after that. This stop from Roberto Gallia. And another coming up to defy a delightful move. Alessio and Baggio involved, and Lupi, who looked certain to score. But it stayed 1-0 to Juventus. Bari began against Napoli at breakneck pace, trying to brighten their bleak horizon. Robert Yanni very much to the fore. And it was Yanni who was brought down by Ferrara for a 22nd minute penalty. David Platt, who's on Napoli's shopping list, put away the penalty, his 9th league goal in Italy. Platt played a part here in preventing Napoli equalising. But in the second half, they were unstoppable. Silenzi through to Zola. That's 1-1. And Silenzi might have added a second in the next attack. Perret kept careering into the ball as he tried to turn in the rebound. And then Zola's cross shot flicked in off Bellucci. 2-1 to Napoli. Bari did battle back after that. Boban's header kept out by Galli. And then it was Boban again, set up by Brogi. But with Terracenere sent off for 2 yellow cards, the resistance ended. In the last minute, Alamau took on Bari on his own. And he got the reward for his enterprise. Bari have now lost 4 in a row. Torino were given an extra day to prepare for the second leg of their UEFA Cup semi-final. Saturday turned out to be a successful day in Verona. Enzo Schifo on target here for Torino on the half hour. Verona's Radu Choiu has been conspicuous for the chances he's missed, but from Serena's centre, this one didn't get away. 1-1, 2 minutes before half-time. A suspicion of offside about the winner. Lentini put through by Martin Vasquez. Verona had hoped to catch Torino with their minds on Real Madrid. it didn't pan out that way. Genoa have to go to Amsterdam already 3-2 down to Ajax in the other UEFA Cup semi-final, but against Cagliari, not too many encouraging signs. Nardini with a near miss for the Sardinian side. Cagliari survived a moment of defensive disaster here. Aguilera allowed the freedom to shoot, an effective if inelegant save from Yelpo. Cagliari, the only side in the bottom five regularly picking up points. Triniti keeping Genoa on their toes. But in the first minute of the second half, they were caught cold. Enzo Francescoli, the architect of the attack. Gaudenzi, the goal scorer. Genoa needed Branco to produce his party piece. Not a direct route to goal this time, but Ruotolo really rammed in the rebound. Spectacular way to claim a share of the spoils. Lazio and Fiorentina had drawn 1-1 in Florence in November. The return in Rome went the same way. Giovanni Stroppa, a second-half star for Lazio, his goal clipped over an embarrassed Marigini after his own corner had come back to him. Karl-Heinz Riedler charged through here and almost made sure of a Lazio win. Only for Fiorentina to produce a bolt from the blue in the final seconds. Marco Branca with an absolute beauty. It deserved to save the game. After being slaughtered at San Siro by Milan, Sampdoria's life returned to normality against Roma. A match of missed chances. Bonacina hit the post, Sampdoria did it at Carboni's cross. Roberto Mancini very much in the mix for the home side. And in the second half, they developed this slick move. Vialli touching the ball off, Bonetti's shot testing Zinetti. Silas with the corner, and Roma let off by one of their old boys, Pietro Bierkowod. 2 minutes to go, and Roma score. Hessler's free kick, Muzzi onside with a defender guarding the post. Teeing it up for Giannini, who believed for all the world he'd won it for Roma. Not so. Mancini's free kick headed back by Lombardo and in by Silas, all in the dying seconds. And there was still time for Hessler to try to unhinge Sampdoria yet again. They were lucky to survive. Sampdoria won, Roma won. The best we've left to last. Fun and games with Foggia once more. First of all, in Bergamo, they go a goal down. An own goal by Consagra in his efforts to stop Biancesi reaching Canichia's cross. 2 minutes later, it's 1-1. Rambaudi picking out Baiano for his 11th of the season. Another own goal coming up by Atalanta this time. Minardo, the culprit, 2-1 to Foggia. Then 3-1, the latest in the line of superb shots by Igor Shalimov. And Foggia not finished yet. Rambaudi finding Atalanta defenders absent from their duties. A fine run, a goal in keeping with Foggia's attacking philosophy. When Petrescu was sent off, Atalanta found a most unusual hero, defender Carlo Cornacchia. One header from Canichia's free kick, 4-2. Another header, Nicolini the supplier this time, 4-3. Would you believe it? In a spell of 14 minutes, a hat-trick of headers. Glenn Stromberg setting him up this time. Cornacchia's first season with Atalanta, his first goals for the club, could only happen against Foggia. The gap between Milan and Juventus is reduced by 1 point to 5. Next week it is the Milan derby, where current form is usually irrelevant, when all the games are played on a Saturday because of Easter. Foggia have now scored 45 goals. Only Milan and Napoli have more. They conceded 48, the second worst total in the division. They stay 12th on a day when, in fact, the positioning in the entire table is unaltered. We leave you with who else but the most unlikely scorer of 3 goals in an Italian First Division game for many a season. The 26-year-old Atalanta defender, Carlo Cornacchia.
To do it in any circumstances would be outstanding, but to hit the target with 3 headers when his team was 4-1 adrift with only 17 minutes to go was simply sensational. As a story in football fiction, you'd never believe it. If you followed Foggia, you'd expect nothing less.